All right, good morning or afternoon or evening, whatever time you're watching this at. I doubt it's the morning, but it's the morning for me because in the last episode, I told you that I would be walking you through my morning routine on this episode. So it's 5:06 a.m. right now. I woke up at 4:45. My sleep is still kind of messed up from prep, although it's getting better because now instead of my body waking me up at 2 or 3 a.m., my body wakes me up at, like today was 4:45 on the dot. I think yesterday was also 4:45 on the dot. So my body does have like a weird, I mean, it's a good circadian rhythm. I like that. But I do have to really make sure I get to bed early, which is tough because the time I should be in bed at to get enough sleep, if I'm waking up at 5 a.m. is like, 8 p.m. and it's still light out. It's still completely light out. But yeah, anyway, so morning routine. I have your morning routine starts in the evening with planning. Now, of course, like and I don't do like a super fancy morning routine where I do like a rain dance and meditate upside down on my head and chug exactly 1400 whatever those crazy morning routines. Very simple. I have everything written down. So before I shut the lights out at night, I just like to write everything I'm going to do down in the morning because sometimes like the things that I do change a little bit depending on the day. There's something different I have to do on a given day. So, and even if it is me just writing down the same thing every day, that just helps prevent me from getting distracted, right, from the things I have to do. So the first thing that I do in the morning is weigh in. I've been doing this without fail. So weigh in and track my body weight. I've been doing this without fail every single day. Obviously, probably with a couple days that I missed. Actually, I don't think I've missed a single day, honestly. I weigh in and I write my body weight down. I keep track of it because I'm always, either gaining muscle, trying to maintain my body weight, or losing body fat. And your body weight is pretty important when it comes to that stuff. So if you're serious about, staying healthy, controlling your body composition, building muscle, losing body fat, weigh in every single day. There's absolutely no reason not to, and a lot of reasons to do it. So what I do is I have like a whiteboard. I'm here in my office, and just to make it like a physical habit, which I think has gone a long way. Every morning when I weigh in, I write it down on the whiteboard, and then as of right now, because I work with a coach, I have two spreadsheets that I put it in. One is the one that I've been using for 6 years to put my body weight in, and then one is obviously a spreadsheet where I put my body weight in for my coach. So yeah, so that I've already done step one of my morning routine. So step two, this is something new I've been doing since my show, and that is a self check-in. So of course now during around the show for the last probably like 2-ish weeks out, I was checking in with my coach every day. So first thing in the morning and then multiple times per day. So as a way of as a like a habit to help me improve at posing, I am trying to continue that habit, and I'm just doing a self check-in with myself every day with just by taking photos, basically just to practice posing and also kind of keep an eye on how I look and stuff, and have more data to compare. Like especially during this rebound, I really like comparing photos of different body weights to when I was the same body weight either in prep or last off season. It's been super cool. As you guys saw if you watched last episode. If you didn't, make sure to go watch that. So yeah, I'm gonna do my self check-in, and then I have a journaling routine that I do that's very quick, and I'm gonna have an energy drink because today I'm doing cardio. So actually, after I do the journaling, I'm gonna do vacuum practice. So that's just practicing vacuuming my stomach in, which is helpful for posing, keeping your waist looking small on stage. And it's very hard, so it's something that I neglected to practice last year that probably hurt me. Then I'm going to do fasted cardio, shower, and then take some supplements that I take every day. Then we'll do meal one, have my walk. I'm going to get to work. I got a lot of work to do today aside from just filming this vlog. And then pre-workout meal, and then training. So I'll take you guys through some of this stuff this morning. So I'll film the self check-in. I'll film the vacuums. I'll bring my camera down for cardio, and then once I get to work on my computer, obviously I'm not gonna vlog that. And then we'll do meal one, the walk, and then of course the pre-workout meal. And today is a push day, so take you through my push day. All right, so here is my vacuum practice. So basically what I do is I use this app called Interval Timer, which I downloaded for like posing stamina practice. So you'll see how it works. But basically, I just lean over. Let me adjust this. So I get in kind of this position. I'm on my kitchen counter here. And then basically the idea is like to vacuum, you have to blow all of the air out of your stomach. So, and then you kind of suck your stomach in instead of breathing in. So it feels like you're trying to breathe in. But you're really just sucking your stomach in. So it's not easy, it's uncomfortable, but it makes your waist look nice and tight when you're posing. So it also like increases, I forget what it's called exactly, but it's basically the inside of your abdominal muscles. So so yeah, I'm gonna do this. I do 10 rounds. So this is how it works with the interval timer. So I start it gives me 10 seconds to get ready. I blow my air out at about 3-4 seconds. So So 10 rounds, I hold for 10 seconds. And then I also try to not. I also try to not let my gut come too far out between. Whew, that was a good one actually. Felt good. All right, back in the office. So now I'm going to do my pre-fasted cardio journaling while I drink this Monster, because I have a ton of these built up from prep, but they're nice before fasted cardio. Let's see, we got Ultra Fiesta Mango flavor. This is a good one. So this journaling routine I have, this is something that I know is very effective because I've been doing this like on and off for like 6 years. So I'll do it for like, anywhere from 3 months to a year. The most consistent I've probably been is with like every day without fail is probably like a year and a half, 2 years. And what'll happen is like sometimes when I stop, and usually the reason I stop is because I'm like, oh, this seems pointless. I don't think this is doing anything. But I'm sure it does now, because every time I stop, what I find is, things kind of slowly start to go downhill over time. And this is probably not the only reason why that happens, but I think this is definitely one of the things that helps keep me on track, basically. So number one with like mental health, number two with just like focus, overall being focused on the things that are important to me. And so basically what I'm journaling, and the reason that it helps with mental health and just focus, is the first thing I do is I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. So really simple. There's so many things that, especially like if you're watching this on YouTube right now on a smartphone or your computer or iPad or TV or whatever, like that's one thing that a lot of people in the world have, probably more than half the people in the world do not have the privilege to have, right? So there's so many things that we take for granted on a daily basis that, if you just think how lucky you are to have that, and how, it makes your life easier, better makes you happier, that makes you happier. So that's an important thing to remind yourself of things like that you're grateful for. And then my goals, write down all my goals. And then the last thing I do for my morning journal is write down, like I call it identity and intentions. So just a couple notes, a couple sentences on like, who am I? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? So that's the identity part of it. And then intentions, it's a little bit the same thing. Intentions are like, how do I want to live today, basically, right? Which it's the same thing I write every single day for the most part. I'll adjust it kind of as I think of new things I want to add or new ways I want to say it. But yeah, so that's it. So I'm going to do this right now real quick as I chug this monster, and then we're going to go and do some fasted cardio. All right, so fasted cardio on the Stairmaster. Intervals, so 1 minute on level 5, 1 minute on level 10 for 20 minutes, 5 days per week. So this will be like a maintenance dose of cardio, I think. In the off season, I was doing, I think I mentioned this, but 45 minutes fasted, and then another second session, 35 minutes post-workout, 5 and 6 days a week, so like 8 hours of cardio. But this is much easier, goes by faster. While I do it, I'll like work on my phone. There's always stuff I can be doing, whatever makes the time pass the fastest. Sometimes I like doing podcasts, YouTube, etc., but I find the time passes quicker if I just do stuff that I have to do on my phone. But yeah, so cardio in the off season, super important for health, especially when you're pushing your body weight as hard and high as I am. But also for keeping you lean. I think, not a mistake, but part of the reason I got so, not so, like, it wasn't too bad, but I got pretty soft in last off season was we did start my off season off with no cardio, just a step goal. And I think part of that was because, I was just really small. So super popular cardio debate, fasted versus fed, doesn't make a difference. Not one you're gonna notice. Although I think there's a lot of benefits personally, preference-wise, to fasted. You do it first thing in the morning, so you get it out of the way. that makes it way less likely that you're gonna decide to skip it. Feels a lot better, like if you have had a few meals, it can be like a little bit more uncomfortable. But overall, not gonna be a huge difference, I don't think. Plus, if you do post-workout cardio, if you haven't had like a shake or something, that's basically fasted cardio as well. So you're also probably wondering what's on your nose. And a lot of you probably know what this is. It's like just a breathing strip. It helps. Actually, this one's called a nasal dilator. So it just helps you kind of breathe a little bit better. You know, one of the ugly things about bodybuilding is it can cause breathing obstruction, sleep apnea. I do get that, especially in the peak off season. So these help. If you are someone who needs to use these, chances are you probably use the breathe right ones, or the ones you can get at the store. Compared to those, or if you compare those to this one, those don't even work. So this is a intake breathing one. So it's plastic, it uses magnets. When you put it on, you can literally see and feel it stretching your nostrils open. So if you use these, I highly recommend you switch to this one. Just so much better. And it looks like a little bit less ugly as well. All right, so morning routine is done, fasted cardio is done, I just showered. So now we have meal one. So episode 1 was a back day. All my back days are high carb days. Today I'm training chest, push day. So the diet is different. It's kind of similar, but it's actually quite a bit different in a lot of ways. So on a high day, we're eating high carb, all fast digesting carbs. So digesting the carbohydrates fast is a priority. So no veggies, no added fats. Like my fats are very close to zero on high days. Today, there is some fats in my diet, more toward the end of the day, time toward the end of the day. And then I do have veggies as well, because those two things slow down your digestion, which isn't necessarily inherently good or bad. It's just on a high carb day, you want to digest the carbs fast, so you don't want to slow down your digestion. So first meal here is 170 grams of chicken breast. So I'm going to get this on the pan here, kind of preheat these. So I still got like a bunch of leftover meal prep stuff. I am today going to I'm going to run out of rice probably. So I'm going to have to put on some more rice and also shrimp. But won't worry about that right now. So chicken, close enough. For protein, I always like to, I'm always okay with being over. Since I'm growing right now, I'm also cool with being a little bit over on carbs and fat when I weigh stuff. There's no need to be like super anal about weighing stuff, but in prep, I'm okay with being a little bit over on protein, but I always try to be a little under when I weigh out my fats and carbs. I decided, because I add so much spices and like sauce to my food, I just stopped peppering my chicken, and it doesn't make any difference. It does look really bland, but I mean, once I put it in the bowl and put my sauces and spices on, then I don't even notice the difference between having pepper on it, having cooked it with pepper and not, so whatever. Very bodybuilder of me, but hey, that's what I'm trying to be, isn't it? I want to be bodybuilder. I'm not even sure if the calories are higher or not. They could be about the same because of the fats. So just because my high carb day is a high day doesn't mean it's a high calorie day, but it is a high carb day. The amount of calories might be the same between these 2 days. Right now, the way my coach is coaching me, I think I mentioned this in episode 1, but just in case I didn't, he's just writing my meal plan, and all that it says on my meal plan is the food that I'm supposed to eat and the weight, and no macros, which I actually enjoy. because I hired him, so I don't really have to care. I just follow directions. At this point, I've been working with him for almost 2 years. 2 years. He's beyond proved himself. So I don't I'm just leaning into being an athlete and not caring about some of the details that don't really matter. If I want, I can put the food into my fitness pal and see how many calories it is, but what use is that? If you guys want to know, I know people want to know this, maybe I'll add them up for you. But at the same time, like how many calories and macronutrients I'm eating does not matter for you. So I think like what I've explained already about, the point of a high day, the point of a regular day, on my rest days, the calories are a bit lower, so I just remove rice from 2 of my meals. So just knowing that, like, that's all you really need to know. And then, of course, the amounts of calories and macronutrients is going to be wildly different for you based on your size, how your body weight, what phase you're in, what your goals are. So yeah. All right, and then 100 grams of veggies. I really like these mixed veggies. They're a little bit higher carb because they have high fiber carbs. So there's green beans in here, corn, carrots, peas. So the corn, carrots, and peas are a little bit higher carb than like just regular green veggies, which isn't a big deal because most of that is fiber, and fiber doesn't fully digest. So you won't see much of a difference there. So pick whatever veggies you like to consume. Some veggies are better than no veggies. I like frozen veggies because I don't like things that are difficult to cook. All I do is I boil them you boil them, you let them turn down the heat, let them like simmer or whatever with a lid on for 3 minutes. And then I just strain the water out and put them in the fridge. And then when I fry them to reheat them, that makes them taste good along with all my sauces. Oh, I gotta, of course, first meal, unload the dishwasher. Another note on working with my coach and him not putting calories and macros on the plan. For me, that's nice because, that's stuff that I understand completely. For my clients, my lifestyle clients who, they want to learn, I put all those details in there for all of them because that is stuff that's important for them to see and understand because they don't have the knowledge that I have, obviously, right? So it is important to kind of be aware of what you're doing, why you're doing it, when you're in a place where you're not 100% sure, right? But I like if I see what the calories and macros are right now in my plan, I'll be like, yeah, okay, that's that looks right, cool. So it's just something that I don't need to think about. So the fact that they're not on there is great. Of course, he takes different approaches with me. I'm not sure if this will happen this off season, but he'll create a plan for me that is more flexible, where he just tells me exactly what macros he wants me to hit for each meal. And then he has a list of foods, approved foods, and like tiers, broken into tiers for carbs, proteins, fats that I can choose if I want. And then that way it's a little bit more flexible. It's not completely flexible because obviously, I'm a competitive bodybuilder. I don't want to be completely flexible. So that's another way we do it. I don't know if we'll switch back to that. I don't really care. I like the way we're doing it now. You get a really nice peace of mind when someone is making the decisions for you. All right, so on every diet day that is not a high carb day, I do take some fiber supplements just to really help with like digestion. I do need a lot of this stuff for it to work. So you don't need to take this much, like if you want to try out this stuff for improving your digestion. So I take, this is called Daily Cleanse. So just a fiber supplement. It has some extra stuff in there as well. Really good. I take 2 scoops of this. And then 3 scoops of Metamucil, which is more than it tells you to take on the container. But I mean, I've experimented with this a lot, and in order for it to be effective for me, this is how much I need. And since part of the reason I like having this right before I eat, because it kind of helps suppress your appetite. So right now I'm still super hungry. Obviously not as intensely hungry as I was on prep for sure, but I'm still doing things that help with the hunger. So yeah, there we have that. And the way that I like to do this is pretty funny as well. When I told my coach I was doing this on prep, he's like, you're gonna have to stop doing that. But we're not on prep anymore, so actually he did start to tell me to do it because it does help with my digestion. So he told me to stop doing it, but then when I told him about how my digestion was, he told me to start doing it again. So I fill this up with like not enough water. And then I use this whisk to mix it, this electric whisk. And basically, because there's not enough water in it, it turns into kind of like a pudding ice cream type consistency texture. So that way it's like more satiating. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done whisking it up here. So it's like an ice cream. It doesn't taste incredible. It doesn't taste bad either though. It tastes pretty good. It tastes like the Metamucil. All right, so we got meal 1 in the bowl here. So I'm gonna add my condiments. On these days, I do use this, this sauce is so good, but it's higher calorie for sure. I probably should measure it, but I don't. Hasn't seemed to make much of a difference. It's got, per 1 tablespoon, 3 grams of fat. And this is Southwest Smash Sauce by Flavor Gang. So you guys can order that. I'm not affiliated with them, but anything that's good, I'm okay with promoting. And then seasoning, again, this is like a higher calorie one. Not higher calorie, but 10 calories per 1 teaspoon, 3 grams. So again, on this day, I don't really measure it. Oh yeah, and this is truffle, Parmesan, and black garlic. I found it at Costco, and I think it's something they only bring in once in a while. And I bought one, tried it. It was so good that I went back and bought all the stock that they had at the time. And now it hasn't been restocked since. So it's, and that sucks because at Costco it's $10 a bottle. And on Amazon it's 20 for the same amount. So if I run out and they don't have it at Costco, I guess I'm gonna be spending double because it's good enough that I'll still spend $20 for it. Salt, so my coach still has me measuring my salt, 5 grams per meal. I like to do it Salt Bae style. Cool, yeah, so that's it. Just gonna have this meal. There it is. 170 chicken, 300 rice, 100 grams of veggies. So gonna eat this and then do my walk and then get to work. All right, so post-meal walk. Talked about this last week. Coach has me doing a short walk after each meal, which is a great habit to be into. Just helps regulate blood sugar, helps you digest your food. But I mean, same concept that I was talking about earlier with cardio. These are like the fine details that barely matter. It really helps if you're someone who gets kind of confused when it comes to, you know, what's important, what's not important when it comes to my fitness, nutrition, training. Stuff like this is not important. Like it's usually, you know, what happens throughout the course of the day. So for walking, your total daily step count is the most important. So if your schedule doesn't allow for you to do a short walk after each meal, not a big deal. Mine doesn't allow for me to do one after every one of my meals, but I'm, you know, lucky enough to have this treadmill and work at home, so it's easier for me to do. But I mean, if you work in an office, you can just go for a walk around the office. And if it's not possible, then get your steps in however it's most convenient for you. But So yeah, just gonna do about 10 minutes and then get to work on the computer. I got a bunch of new client programs to create for this week. And then I'm still editing the first episode of the vlog, which is, it's a lot, it's like 4 hours of footage, so it's gonna take me a while. But my goal is to get it out before the end of June, like I promised. So yeah, and then posing check-in today. I won't share that because I shared that last week, but then we'll be doing pre-workout meal and then off to the gym for push day. All right, so I'm doing my posing check-in. I know I said I wasn't gonna film it, but then I realized that the last few posing check-ins I didn't talk through it at all and explain what I'm doing. So for those who are interested in posing, it is a massive part of bodybuilding, and it really hurt me not being better at it at my show. So yeah, I'm about to do my posing check-in with my coach. We're going pretty slow because like we have, and I don't really like to say we have a lot of time, but I'm just starting my off season. So basically I send him these check-ins each week. Right now we just started with the basics, mandatories. And the first tweaks he's giving me are mainly on like my front relaxed pose. So I'll go through and I'll explain like the tweaks that he's getting me to make and why. So I'll start that right now here. Turn my underwear into a man thong so you can see the glutes. All right, so yeah, front relax, that's the first pose you do. So the thing that he wants me to do better is get my lats to flare out more. So obviously you want to look as wide as possible at the top, waist as tight as possible, so and legs to flare out as much as possible. So I point my toes quite a bit, push out to get my quads to flare, the sweep, flex my glutes, which helps bring out the adductors, butt back, and then I vacuum. And then the cues that he gave me is he wants me, it's pretty hard actually, but I'm sure I'll get used to it, is he wants me to depress my scapula more. So I'm like rotating my shoulders in like this. That's internal rotation, I believe. And then depress my scapula and imagine like I'm trying to point my nipples to the ceiling without like leaning back. So basically that's just gonna help pop my lats out more, make me look wider at the top essentially. To the best of my knowledge, I'm not an expert at posing, so it's gonna look like this. So it's a little weird because I'm trying to keep my butt back because you want the parts of your body to look small to be further away from the judges. So my butt's back, that keeps my weight further from the judges, or my waist, sorry, further from the judges. And then my chest is up like this. But then the cue he's giving me to make my upper body and my lats flare, my upper body look wider and my lats flare, kind of fights against the keeping my butt back. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. So I'm gonna do the full round here because I think he definitely wants a full round. So I'm gonna take the mic off for this just because I don't want the mic on for the check-in, but it'll be over here. You can probably still hear me breathing heavily. All right, so getting ready for the pre-workout meal here, pre-workout supplements, and then off to the gym. So went over this in the last episode, but with my first 3 meals, I take kidney HD, liver HD, and then omega-3 HD. So I'm just getting these ready before I start putting my meal together. So the meal today is similar to on my high day, but also different. So on today, it's cream of rice. So I'm gonna do the same mix that I did last week. Half and half cookie butter chocolate, absolutely delicious, of Elevate cream of rice. And then for my lower training days, my lower carb training days, instead of shrimp, I do Pro HD Whey Isolate. So I'll leave that over here for now. Grab a cup to mix the cream of rice. It is less cream of rice too, only 30 grams less. Also no blueberries in this. So water. I find it actually, the consistency is nicer. Like I said last week, I like putting a little less water in it. That's mostly because it cooks faster that way. But I find if you do closer, it's still not their full water recommendations on the label, but I do 300 milliliters of water for this 120 grams of cream of rice. I don't really need this yet. So yeah, this way it just comes out like a little bit smoother the more water you use. The downside is it just takes a little bit longer to cook, but not that much longer. So 120 grams total, 60 grams of each of these roughly. Last episode I was out of the pre-HD variant. I got some more of it now. So this is variant 01. So this is the stim one. Again, this is HD's like super loaded pre-workout. So it has a lot of citrulline, 11 grams. It has betaine, creatine in it, beta-alanine, and then like a bunch of pump stuff in it. And then a little bit less caffeine. It has 200 milligrams of caffeine, whereas the Pre-HD Black has 400. So I don't really feel like I need as much caffeine today. It's a push day, so just 1 scoop of this. And then since it has creatine in it, it has caffeine in it, I don't really have to add anything else to it like I do when I use the Elite, which is why I like these 2 different options, is because it gives you like more than 2 options essentially. You can use the non-stim on its own, you can use the non-stim and add a little bit of caffeine to it, et cetera, et cetera. And also I am adding the EVP pump maximizer. They call it a liquid muscle volumizer, but I just wanted to share. Last week I was talking about how the serving size on here is like a capful or a half cap. When you do it that way, it's super messy. It starts dripping out of the cap. Even this one's dripping, but I found a hack. I measured how much it weighs for 1 cap, which is 35 grams. So this way I don't have to pour it in the cap, which makes the bottle super, super messy. But yeah, this stuff is awesome. Helps you get a crazy pump and also makes your pre-workout taste a little bit better, gives a little flavor to it. Push day today. So out of the body parts that are my weaker points, upper chest is probably number 2. So some of the feedback that I got from the head judge at my show was, one of the things at least, was shallow upper chest. So again, like if you watched the first episode of my vlog, you follow me on social media, Facebook, whatever, you know back is by far my weakest point. So that's still like the number 1 focus by far. So I'm only doing 2 push days per week. Like if I did want to prioritize chest more, I could do 3. You could even do up to like 4 push days if you wanted. Maybe 1 or 2 of them would be lighter. So I'm not taking like a really heavy duty, aggressive approach to adding size to my upper chest like my back, because it's just not as high of a priority. Now, here's why getting feedback, external feedback, can be so important. Again, this is something that I knew. I have my upper chest has been a weak point for a long time. So what I'm doing now is all of my pressing and pretty much all of my chest work, all of it, 100% of it, is focused on my upper chest, right? Before, knowing that my upper chest was a weak point, but not really having that external validation and feedback that was the case, especially from someone like the head judge of a show I want to win next year. So before I had that feedback, if it was up to me, like I had a hard time making the decision to completely stop doing flat pressing. So, but now that I've got that external feedback, I have no problem doing that for now. Especially since like you're not going to completely, like my lower chest is not going to completely stop growing if I only do incline pressing and only focus on my upper chest. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And another thing to keep in mind as well is if that does start to happen, it does start to look like, oh, now my lower chest is underdeveloped and my upper chest is overdeveloped, which is very unlikely, then I can always just switch back, right? So getting feedback is helpful in helping you make decisions like that. So both of my push days are very similar. I start with the same machine incline press. It's just such a good machine. You'll see it. Then for today, I'm doing a machine fly. And it's one that just lines up horizontal. But I do it in a way that biases a little bit toward my upper chest, which I'll explain. And then today, I finish off my chest with incline Smith press. So in total, I think it's 8 sets for chest. So I still have a lot of room to add volume to my chest. But since this is only my 3rd week, I'm saving adding volume because I'm getting awesome results already. And I'm still trying to like see if, on this 3-on 1-off split, how well the recovery is. But so far, so good. So that's going to be the chest portion of this push day. And then we're doing rear delts, side delts, triceps, and I think either it's calves today. So throw some calves in there, just so I'm doing them twice a week. So I don't only do calves on leg day. So my third focus for body part focuses is I really want to bring up my rear delts. Not that they are holding me back at all, but that's just like a body part that if you bring up will like add a lot of I don't know what the right word would be, but like depth and maybe awe, width, size to your side shots, and it helps your back as well. So I'm doing a lot of rear delt work. Actually, I'm doing more rear delt volume than I'm doing for chest, and very close to as much as I'm doing for back. That doesn't mean that I'm prioritizing them more than chest or back, but the rear delt is a tiny muscle, and to train it is not very systemically fatiguing at all. So you can get away with doing it a lot. So I'm training rear delts 4 times per week right now. Yes, that means some days it's back to back. It doesn't matter because it's a muscle that recovers quickly, responds really well to volume. It doesn't require like a lot of loading, so it's not very systemically fatiguing. So yeah, that's the breakdown on what the training is going to look like today. All right, so first exercise in the push day is this machine press. So this machine is awesome. It converges, it just lines up with my upper chest perfectly. So I don't do any like crazy warm-ups like I do for my pull days because I connect pretty well with my chest. It's something that I worked on and got good at. Although basically like really all you need to do is a couple sets with, maybe like one set with half the weight you're going to use for your working set for maybe 10 reps. Go nice and slow. Make sure you're getting enough tension placed across the target muscle So it's really about feel, making sure that you're like mentally prepared to perform your reps to the best of your ability. So I will do that for my warm up. So right now I got about less than half than what I'm going to do for my working set. So get set up, kind of find the sweet spot for where I want my hands. Make sure like before I push the weight up, I can feel that the tension is on my upper pecs. Press up only with my upper pecs. And then this is a really important part of every chest exercise, is that when you come up and you get to the contraction, keep your chest contracted and make sure that it's your chest that is allowing the weight to come back down. So you don't want to be using momentum like this, because then this whole part of the movement is useless. It's gravity pulling the weight down, right? So a good 10 warm-up reps. Another important thing to note and do when you're doing your push exercises is you want to start with your scapula retracted. So basically what that means is my shoulders are pinched back like this, because your pec, it attaches to your upper arm bone up here, and then of course along your sternum. So you want to make sure you're starting in a position where your pec is as stretched as possible. So your scapula has to be retracted in order for that to happen. Now you do want to try to maintain that throughout the range of motion, but you are going to get a little bit of protraction. There's not much you can do about it, but a good cue to keep in mind while you do the exercise is try to keep that scapula retracted throughout the range of motion. So I'm going to throw another 25 on here per side. So this is roughly like, I think 75-ish% of my working set weight. So I'll do 5 reps of this and then go up to my working set weight and do 2 or 3 reps just to feel the weight that I'm going to use, and we'll start the working sets. For working set weight, week 1 I did 180, so that's 2 plates for 7, 6, and 6. So when I see that I'm able to do the same amount of reps between sets, it tells me I probably could add more load for sure. And I might even be able to add more load and do a double progression and also do more reps. So last week I did 190, so that's what, 2 plates and a 5 per side. In my first 2 sets I did 8, last set I did 6, so I'm just going to be conservative and add another 5 pounds, because I added 10 last week between week 1 and 2. So I'm just going to add a 2.5 per side, and then we'll see where we end up rep wise. I'm working in the 6 to 12 rep range, so I'm kind of at the bottom right now. So no right or wrong way to do this. Like, it just kind of depends on what you decide you feel like doing. So 195. All right, so 5 more pounds total in comparison to last week. So as long as I do 8, that's progressive overload. So at least 8 reps here, and then if I can do more, then that's a little more progressive overload. So this first rep doesn't count, by the way. This is just getting the weight set. All right, cool. So we got an extra rep too. Woohoo. Set the stopwatch. Probably rest like at least 3 minutes on these. So 9 reps. Gonna stick with the 195. I'm a big fan of, there's no need to change your working set weight. When you think about it, it makes absolutely no sense, right? Because if you start with a lower weight and work your way up, well, if if it's a warm-up set, then it's a warm-up set, but it doesn't change like your intensity going from, I think what a lot of guys like to do is like start with a lower weight, work their way up. I don't even know actually. Guys do weird shit, but I just stick with the same working set weight. Usually you might lose a rep or two between your sets. There's no reason to go up and down unless there is a reason, right? Like, so if I start to drop below my, or drop close to the bottom of my rep range, then you can lower the weight a bit if you want. Or if you want to do kind of like a burnout set kind of thing at the end and do a higher rep set, that's cool too. But those are reasons, right? So now what should happen is what kind of should have happened naturally last week is I should have been able to, you know, your first working set should always be better than your second. So last week I did 8, but I mean, if I can match again this week, then that means I still have room to progress a lot, right? Which is also fine. So 8 or 9 here again. Oh yeah, so that's definitely either failure or 1 rep from failure. All right, so still catching my breath a bit, but about to do last set here. So last week I did 190 for 6. So yeah, again, even if I just do 6 with this 195, that's a progression, but I think I'm definitely gonna go for 7. We'll see what happens though. Something pay attention to here too is if you probably notice, like, especially my first 4 or 5 reps, I guess it's gonna be less on this set, but they're very slow. So I wanna make sure that like I'm in a groove with my technique. So every one of my reps, I'm completely connected with my chest and hitting what I want, right? Then you can speed up a little more because then you get blood in it and you're well connected with it. You're in a groove, as I like to call it. That was a good rep. Cool. All right, so now we're doing machine chest fly. This machine is super humbling. I have 20 pounds on per side. But so yeah, last week I did the 40 pounds, so the total for 11 and 10. My rep range is 8 to 14. So for flies, like I like to kind of go slightly higher reps. So I'm not gonna work my way up in reps here. I'm gonna work my way up, or sorry, I'm not gonna work my way up in load here. I'm gonna work my way up in reps. Like I said on the way here, I'm focused on my upper chest. So this machine has a horizontal plane. So all I do is I simply just focus on emphasizing my upper chest more. How I do that is I have the bench set, like the seat here, set all the way down, so I'm as low as possible. My grip is as high as possible. Strangely, like, this could go much lower. I don't know how guys do this with the seat higher. But, and then I also just, with my grip, I'm kind of a little more gripping it like in the top of my hands. So all these things kind of add up and make it more emphasized, or make it put more emphasis on my upper chest. So I'll do kind of like 1 warm-up set with my working set weight here. My chest is already warmed up. So again, just to make sure that I'm connected on this exercise, I'm gonna do a couple reps and then we'll get into the working set. So yeah, hands nice and high. So same thing, like retract your scapula if you have to. You can kind of like wiggle around a bit here to get it nice and, like my chest is so stretched right now. Ugh. So yeah, last 3 reps for partials. I'll count it as 13. Isolation exercises aren't all that important to progress on. So, and I think I did do partials last week too on these, but you know, an exercise like a fly where you're kind of getting the most out of the stretch, lengthened partials are always fine. Never anything other than lengthened partials, in my opinion. You just don't really get much out of it. So when it comes to flies, a lot of people are like, isn't it dangerous to go that far back for your shoulders? Not really. I mean, if you get pain in your shoulders, of course, stop there. But really, being strong in that area, that range of motion, is what's going to help protect your shoulders, because that's mobility, right? Mobility, one way you can define it is strength in a stretched position. So the stronger you are in that stretched position, the less likely it is that you're going to injure yourself when you're in that position, because you have strength in that position, right? The reason you'll tear a muscle or something is because you're doing weight that you can handle in the part of the range of motion where you're not fully stretched, and then it kind of gets away from you, and you're carrying that weight now in a more stretched position, and your muscle's weaker there, right? Logical, but ego is powerful. So let's do set number 2 here. All right, so last exercise of the chest portion of this push day. So we're doing high incline Smith press. So this is definitely upper chest focused. There is a lot of front delt involvement in this too, which is fine. Like I never trained front delts directly, which I think most guys shouldn't, because if you're doing enough pressing, you want to grow your chest. That's more than enough work for your front delts to grow. So, all right. Yeah, so last 2 reps for partials. So next week will probably be the same amount of weight. We'll see what happens after the next set here. So important thing for pressing like this, obviously, like I didn't have to worry about this on the machine I was using because it lines you up perfect. But I never want the joint between my elbow, so the angle between my upper and lower arm to be inside 90, because then you're putting more stress on your front delts and you're taking less tension off your chest and also more tension into your triceps. So find a grip where like it lines up so your forearms are straight up and down basically the whole time. So yeah, Smith machine's nice because you can go to failure as long as you catch it before it lands on your neck. There's always a rack you can hang it on. As you can see for the last set, the partials are pretty honest. Like the last partial I did, there's no way I was moving the weight up again. So, man, just not the best stringer to film with. Yeah, so that was 7, but I'm gonna count that last one as not a rep because that was just basically so I could get it back on the rack. So 6, but yeah, that's it for chest. So now some shoulders, rear side delts, triceps, and calves. All right, so we're starting with reverse cable flies for rear delts. For rear delts, side delts, smaller muscle groups like this, especially rear and side delts, I don't really care about progression that much because it's a small muscle. It's not strong. The loads are very minimal. So like, you know, adding 2% or 5% to 16.5 pounds is like not enough to progress to the next weight. Like it would take multiple weeks. So basically what I do is I'm going for about 16 to 18 reps. And then for each set, I go for the same amount of reps I got on the last set. And then basically each set gets harder because I have to do more partials and force the reps harder. So let's see, I think last week was a little bit messy. I did way more reps than I wanted to the first set, so I had to go up in weight. So yeah, my second set was 21.5 for 18. So I'm actually gonna I'm gonna go 22 today and see how I do with that. These German cable stacks are weird. All right. Rear delts can be kind of tough to connect with, so I like to start my first few reps with a good long hold. So no like particular length of time, but like maybe 4 or 5 seconds on the first few, and then 3, and then once there's a lot of blood in the rear delts, then I'll speed up the tempo. So. So I'll go for 16 here. So another thing with rear delts is like you always want to keep your scapula protracted. So what I was talking about with my chest at the beginning of the workout is the opposite for the rear delts, because you just want the joint surrounding the muscle to be what moves. Ideally. Oh, that felt good. So yeah, again, not really concerned about progression here. Progressive overload, like just basically going for like the biggest burn I can get by the end of the set. And then, yeah, so I did 16 there with 22, and I'm just gonna try to do, for the next 3 sets, I'm gonna try to do 16 each one. If they have to be ugly partials, that's cool. All right, set number 2. So again, like isolation exercises like this as well, you can do shorter rest time between sets, and that'll kind of facilitate the pump. Keep more of the blood, lactic acid in there. So again, going for 16. I'm in the anabolic lighting spot here in this gym. It's hard not to pose when you're here. So I'm actually gonna, like, that was a little bit hard on my shoulders. And as you saw, like, the tempo was pretty quick. So I'm gonna drop the weight here. I'm gonna go down to just the next lowest on the stack. And then I'll still go for my 16, but I'm just gonna slow the tempo down. Hold some of the contractions maybe a little bit. Yeah, the rear delts are definitely responding. Sweet, so that is good for a rear delt pump. Moving on to side delts. All right, so this is easily my favorite machine, favorite exercise for side laterals. So the side lateral machine raise. This is the first machine I've seen where you do it seated. So there's no need to stabilize. You're just focused completely on your side delt. And I like to do it single arm as well, because I find if I do two arms, like, I have kind of imbalances that make one arm go higher than the other. Makes it harder to focus on the muscle. So I prefer to do it with one arm. If you like doing it with two arms, that's fine. But basically, pretty simple. I'm doing same thing, high reps. Same as the rear delts, I'm going for 16. Last week I did 88 on the first two sets for, let's see here. Yeah, 88 on the first two for 16, then I dropped to 77, 66. So this is what I was talking about earlier. This is where you have a reason to change the weight, right? Because I have like a single rep number I'm trying to hit. And if I can't hit it with a certain weight, then I'm gonna have to drop the weight, right? Pretty simple. All right, so first set with 88. So the advantage of these machines and doing lateral raises with cables is when you do lateral raises with dumbbells, there's no tension from like here to here. So when you use these machines, there's tension the entire way. That's part of one of the reasons I like doing them single arm, because you can lean into it more like this and then make it so you get even more tension at the bottom and more emphasis on the bottom. Same thing with cables. So, all right, first set here. Yeah, now from here, I should struggle a lot more to get 16 with 88 again. But a couple notes on this, like, it's hard to connect. For a lot of guys, it's hard to connect with the side delt. So you'll notice, like, I go super slow. I hold the contraction. I'm especially fighting the weight on the way down. So going fast is not, like, that's usually the problem for most guys, is they're not focusing on the muscle while doing the rep. Rushing it, going too fast, losing tension. So going slow really helps, slow tempo, especially on isolation exercises like this. Yeah, if you have a hard time connecting with your side delts, your rear delts, ditch the dumbbells for a bit, start using cables, machines, like I did for a while. And now one of my side delt work exercises for my program now is heavy seated dumbbell lateral raises. And because of that practice, I just connect so much better, even swinging a bit. So good note there if you struggle with connecting to really that applies to any muscle group. Yeah, so a little sloppier there, last few reps. So those actually felt pretty good, not too nasty toward the end. So instead of decreasing the weight for the third set, like I did last week, I'm gonna keep it at 88 for the third set. So again, like a different way to progress other than just adding weight. Oh, DJ's back. Back to inconsistent volume levels. All right, another note here. A lot of, when it comes to side laterals, like there's a lot of talk about, hey, if you include your traps, you're doing it wrong. Both ways are fine. Like I like to try to keep my scapula, I don't know what the right word is, but I think it's depressed, like down like this, so my traps are out of the equation as much as possible. But you know what? If my traps get involved, I still feel it in my side delts. And I don't think my traps are too big yet, so what's the problem? Yeah, so that set felt good too. I'm gonna keep the weight the same for the last set, and then we're moving on to triceps, and then calves, and then we're done. All right, so triceps. You guys get to watch me figure out this thing because this machine I'm on, because I was doing machine dips, but it was a little hard on my shoulders after I blast my side and rear delt. So triceps aren't really a focus right now. Like I'm doing literally 4 sets per week. So if I do increase that, I might increase it by adding the dips, because right now I have a shortened position push down extension, tricep extension. This will be my lengthened. Dips are like a loading tricep exercise. So those are like your 3 different types of tricep exercises. So I'm cool with just having 2. But because that one's harder on my shoulders, the dips, I'm gonna go with these. So this is really cool, actually, because like when you do overhead extensions, it can be tough to find, for me at least, a variation that's like comfortable on your shoulders. So this one really is, because you just lean into it like this and then push up and out like that. gonna play with how far I get down here to see how big of a stretch I can get. I'm gonna try it with my cable attachment here. So this way I'll get a little bit more of a neutral grip. Yeah, it's a little better actually. Nice big stretch. So yeah, the whole point of this is like when your shoulder is in this position, your tricep is in a lengthened position, whereas this is your tricep, like with your arms just to the side. That's your tricep in a shortened position. So just adds variety to the way that you're stimulating your muscles. So I think this is probably a good weight. What was that, 55? Yeah. So we'll see how many reps I can do. For triceps, I like the 10, anywhere from 10 to 16 range. Honestly, I kind of like higher, on the higher end, so we'll just see where I end up here. Okay, so we got 20 there with, I think that was like 2 or 3 lengthened partials, so I'm gonna count that as a working set. But now we'll do a little more weight because 20 is a little much, I think, for triceps. I'm sure this looks like really awkward, but I mean, this is kind of like, you'll see some guys do their overhead extensions, and I've done it like this as well, with their back like on the cable pulley pillar thing. And I was doing that for a while, and then you bend over, and it's kind of weird because the pillar ends up like up your ass crack, and the whole time you're doing your set, you wonder if anyone notices. It's also kind of gross. So this is a little more ideal than that, even if it looks awkward. So. All right, so that's probably a good weight because I did 13 after doing 20 with a lot less weight. So that'll probably be a good weight to start with next week. All right, so now for calfy raises. So I like doing, again, higher reps for calves actually. Really, really slow tempo. So I actually do have, this is one exercise where I keep tempo in mind with numbers. So for at least like the first 60-75% of my reps, the tempo is 2 for the contraction, 2 for the eccentric, 2 for the stretch, 0 for the contraction. Yeah. So the contraction hold is 2. So the only thing you're doing explosively is the contraction. I'd say the most important part of a calf raise is the stretch. So if you're bouncing without getting some good emphasis on the stretch, you're missing out. All right, so last week we did 18 with this weight. So again, like isolation exercise, I don't really care that much, but we'll see if we can do a rep or 2 more. So. Whoa. Yeah, so pretty boring. Got 20 there though, so 2 more than last week. I don't really like this machine. It's the only standing calf raise they have, I believe. They also have a donkey, which is a little better, but this one's kind of got a slippery platform, but does the job. All right, so that wraps up the push session. Like I was joking about in last episode last week, I'm not too concerned about the anabolic window. So on my way home, I'm going to stop and get my cats some food because they're almost completely, like literally if I don't, they will starve because I think they both have 2 scoops of dry food left. And there has been no wet food for a couple days, so I got to make sure my cats don't die. Now's a great time to do it because the anabolic window doesn't exist. I'm not in a hurry to eat. I got some nicotine to stave off my hunger. Got lots of flavors. Peppermint, cola ice, ruby berry, and cool mint. All right, so we're back in the kitchen for the post-workout meal, and that is currently heating up on the stove, so I'll show you that when it's done. It is different than what I have on my high day. In the meantime, while that cooks up, I got 2 packages. One thing is worth showing you. The other thing is just to stock up on Metamucil. So you guys already saw what I used that for this morning, so nothing to talk about there. But this is kind of worth talking about. So I got a new lifting belt. I've been using one that's like a fabric material and like kind of canvas and Velcro. And it's worked well for like the last 2 or 3 years. But now it seems like the Velcro is losing its stick. So when I'm using it, it comes undone, which obviously is not ideal for a lifting belt. So I got this one. This is just like it was a cheap one. I think it was like $35 off Amazon. They're very common. You see them a lot, RDX. I would love to get like a custom leather belt, but I feel like for me, I'm saving that as a reward for when I get my pro card. So I can put IFBB Pro on there and be all fancy at the gym. Anyway, so let's see how this feels. It'll probably take some time to break in. So yeah, of course, this is leather. It has like loops, so this will not come undone. Yeah, it's solid. Might need to go a loop tighter. Feels good. I mean, we'll have to use it while we're lifting to really put it to the test and see if maybe I can even go tighter. Or is that the last? No. Yeah, that's probably the sweet spot right there. So I have to really suck in. Sweet. So yeah, for bodybuilding style lifting, you do not need like a fancy belt. When I say fancy, powerlifting belts are like 8 or 10 millimeters, really thick. If you get them, when you first get them, they're really hard to put on for the first time. They're really hard to get off. You have to break them in. So they're super bulky. So unless you're literally competitive powerlifting, you do not need a belt like that. So something like this off Amazon, RDX, it's the smaller one, so it's not very thick. It's really all you need. I'll still recommend the Velcro one that I used which lasted a few years. But I mean, if you want one to last longer, in my case at least, the Velcro seems to not stick very well after, I forget how long I've had it, but I think it's been 2-3 years. So, all right, so we got meal 3 cooked and ready to go here. So it is 190 grams of shrimp, 400 grams of potatoes weighed, measured raw, with the same sauce as I used on my first meal this morning. So not bad, definitely super enjoyable. Not quite like the cereal that I have on my high days, but that leaves me super hungry after. So this is a lot more satiating. And then 100 grams of pineapple. Just like with the blueberries, I buy these frozen because I don't want to have to chop up a pineapple. And I don't want to have to buy the pre-chopped ones that are like super expensive. Same supplements that I take with meal 1, 2, and 3. So the Kidney HD, Liver HD, Omegas. It's been about, say, an hour and a half to 2 hours since I finished my workout. So, because I went and grabbed some food for my cat so they don't starve, so you guys don't have to worry about them starving anymore. But yeah, good news is the anabolic window is open 24/7, so we don't have to worry too much about that. All right, so here we are on our post-workout meal, post-workout meal walk. I got a lot of steps to do for the rest of the day here. A little less than half of them, but normally I would have gone for a walk after the gym if it was nice out, but it's kind of ugly out today. You know, it's not terrible, but not the best for, you know, I'm not motivated to go walk outside. So I was just thinking of each week I do 1 or 2 Q&As on my Instagram story. So if you like those, you want to ask me questions, make sure you follow me on Instagram and keep up with my stories. But there's one question I got asked yesterday, which is a common question that pertains to like people's most common struggle normally with cutting body fat. And that is, how do I deal with cravings? So, and there's one, I probably missed honestly the most important point on what will help you deal with cravings. So the things that I said were, number 1, this one is probably one of the most important as well, and that is like your cut will be way easier. You will not have cravings if you just simply stick to a set meal plan with whole foods. So being flexible with your diet is cool, but you have to consider like where you're at goal-wise, and like when you're cutting, you don't want to be too flexible, because then you become too food-focused. You're trying to think of like, ooh, what am I going to have for my next meal? You're thinking about all the different food you can eat. So because of that, you get cravings. And by the way, I hate that word cravings or craving, because what does that even mean? Really, what craving is, when you're craving food, that's the combination of a bunch of bad habits, right? And the situation you're in when you're losing fat. You're hungry, which you should be if you're losing fat, so that's not necessarily a bad thing or a bad habit. But you're thinking about food, so chances are you're not keeping busy enough. So that's one of the most important things you can do to help to reduce or eliminate your cravings, is just don't think about food, and instead have other things planned out in your downtime that don't involve sitting around. And I think those are the 2 biggest things, right? Is because both of those things eliminate the space for you to sit and think about food. So having a set meal plan that you follow, that's kind of non-negotiable. So you're not going to be thinking about food because you're not being flexible with your meal plan, and you're not thinking about what the next thing you're going to eat is. Number 2, you keep busy doing other things. So when I was in prep at my hungriest about like 6 weeks ago, I always had things to do that I planned out every day. Whether it was, going shopping for things, organizing my kitchen, my bedroom, cleaning my apartment, things that were, productive, going for walks outside, visiting people, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, if you spend your downtime sitting on the couch watching TV, well, what happens when you're sitting on the couch watching TV? You're like, people always pair that activity with eating like shitty snack food. The other answers I gave is like, again, really important, really obvious ones. Any food that's not on your plan, get it out of your house. Literally throw it in the garbage. After my show, I had like a bunch of snack food that I had accumulated, and it was starting to get really tempting to eat some of it. And I probably threw out a good $200 worth of snack food, just junk, because otherwise I was going to start eating it, and that's not worth $200 to me, right? Because not only am I gonna, sure, I saved the $200, but I mean, I'm paying my coach more than that every month. So if I eat this shitty snack food, I'm losing more than $200, and I also lose the progress toward the results I want. So yeah, basically you have to have more going on in your head than, what's the next thing I'm going to eat. Making your food enjoyable is another one. At the same time, though, not too enjoyable. Because the main thing is like, you just don't want to be thinking about food too much, essentially. Also keeping in mind that like eventually you successfully get the body fat off, you're going to have a lot more room to eat whatever you want without it having a detrimental effect on your progress. So it's definitely a good question because a lot of people struggle with it and it can be complex. But yeah, I just wanted to add that. So if you guys like Q&As and having me answer questions, definitely follow me on Instagram, and you're free to, of course, participate in my Q&As. I do those. I try to do them twice a week on my rest days, as long as I don't have like a really busy day where I can't answer all the questions. And then another thing I like to do, if I get enough questions, which I'm sure eventually I will, but I don't know if I will right away, ask questions in the YouTube comments of these vlogs. And then, on each episode, I can have a segment where I just answer questions, or, throughout the course of my days when I'm training, when I'm driving to the gym, when I'm walking on the treadmill, I'll just answer the questions throughout the course of the vlog. And that will allow me to, obviously on Instagram, you can do as long answers as you want, but YouTube's kind of a better format for longer, more drawn out answers. Also, another thing that's great about this is simply that one little rant there, and I've already walked, 8 minutes. I still have 4,000 steps to do, so that's 40 minutes worth of walking. So I'll keep thinking of looking back on other questions I've had in the past that I know are common to answer, because this is basically what the rest of the day is going to look like. Walking, working, and then meal 4, 5, and 6, which I think they're all different. So I will be showing you all 3 of those meals, because they're also different than the meals I did on my high day. All right, so meal number 4, I guess this is exactly the same as meal number 1, but this used to be half the rice. So it's 170 grams of chicken breast, 100 grams of veggies, 300 grams of rice. So before it was 150 grams of rice. So, and then 4th meal, so just an omega with this, an omega-3. So I'm gonna smash this. I'm super behind now. I still have a bunch of work to do. I still have, let's see how many steps I have here. Still 3,000 steps to do, so that's about 30 minutes of walking. Not bad. I can usually get it done faster than 30 minutes too. I go at a little bit of a faster pace. I also have to cook veggies, which I'll show you how I do. It's really easy. I'm gonna have to cook shrimp as well, which I showed you how I do it on the last episode. So yeah, I mean, not too bad. Some work to do, shrimp to cook, veggies to cook, walking to do. So hopefully I do it all fast enough to get to bed earlier tonight. But if not, hopefully I can sleep for I can sleep later than 4:30 or 5. But yeah, so meal timing is important, but not because there's some magical anabolic window. It's open 24/7. So obviously, the reason that I'm doing this vlog is to document and share my bodybuilding endeavors. So I'm sure it's going to attract a lot of guys who are interested in starting bodybuilding, maybe doing a show, doing their first show, getting ready for their first show, planning on it, interested in it. And something I wanted to kind of bring up is you can't, a lot of guys have the misconception, and in fact, I think most amateur competitors, especially new ones, have the misconception that bodybuilding is just doing a show prep and then just completely going off plan and not being a bodybuilder in the off season, when in reality, it's the off season that's the most important. So that's why I'm happy that I'm going to be sharing, I've started sharing, and I've started this vlog starting after my show, because this is where the progress is made. This is where the muscle that you see on stage is built. If you reach out and you hire a bodybuilder, or you try to hire a bodybuilding coach, you apply to work with one, and you're like, hey, I want to do a show in 12, 16 weeks. All that coach can do for you is help you lose all your body fat and peak for the show. He's not going to be able to help you build any muscle, because that's what happens in the off season. And I'm not a bodybuilding coach now. All my clients that I coach are just lifestyle clients who just, they want to get as big and muscular as possible without doing it competitively, and also with, balancing it with the lifestyle they already have, right? But I have had a number of clients come to me, or a number of people come to me over the years that, they did have the goal of competing. And, the reason I don't consider myself a bodybuilding coach is because, well, before June 1st, less than a month ago, I hadn't done a show myself. So, how am I going to help someone do a show if I haven't done one myself? And I'm glad I haven't taken any of those clients because there's a lot of things that I wouldn't have known, and there's no way I would have been able to learn without doing it. But anyway, you have to understand that if you really, really do want to commit to bodybuilding and you want to do well at it, it's a year-round thing, and you cannot expect year-round results from less than half a year's work, right? You're not going to do a 12, 16, 20 week prep and get the results that you'll get if you do a 48 year long prep, which includes a full off season where you're 100%, you're fully committed to it, and then followed by a 20, 16, 12 week prep, whatever your coach decides. So now I'll probably start entertaining some of those clients, but I like coaching lifestyle clients, and I know that if I get a bodybuilding client that does not have that mindset, then I don't know if I would take them. Although I'm pretty good, I think, at getting you set with the right expectations. So if I get someone who wants to compete in a show, I'll tell you the truth. I'll say, hey, listen, you want to compete in a show in 12 weeks? We could do it, but you're not going to look great on stage. You probably won't do very well. We can get you shredded, which is awesome, more shredded than you've ever been. But if you want to do well and you want to commit to this, then you have to commit to working with a coach 100% of the time, year round. Of course, you can have breaks, you can go on vacations and stuff, but then as soon as you get back, you're back on plan with your coach. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. That was a thought that popped into my head as I'm getting my steps in here. But I mean, you don't have to rush the decision either. Like for me, like I mentioned in the first episode where I did like the in-depth review of, you know, how I got here, I wanted to compete in bodybuilding, you know, the first year I started lifting, but luckily, like, I'm very type A, I'm very OCD, so, and I'm very realistic with myself, almost too realistic. I probably could have done it earlier. That was mostly because I had self-doubts. I didn't think I had the right genetics, but I mean, it took me 11 years, slightly over 11 years, 11 years and a couple days actually, between the time I started lifting in the gym to the time I stepped on stage. The first day I started lifting in the gym was May 21st, 2013. And I stepped on stage June 1st, 2024. So yeah, sure, I could have done it sooner if I would have committed to like, that's another part of my, like the last 2 years, around June, July 2022 is when I decided I am ready to fully commit to bodybuilding. And it still took 2 years for me to get on stage. So a 14-month off season and then a 20-week prep. So roughly a 5-month prep, I guess that is. So almost 20 months in total. So, and you know, chances are if I would have made that decision a little earlier when I had more muscle to build, it probably would have been maybe, you know, so that was roughly a year off season. Maybe it would have had to be a 2, 3, 4 year off season. So yeah, I mean, it's a big commitment. You don't have to make the decision. Like I said, I delayed it and I'm still happy with where I'm at now, obviously. I'd love to be younger and have more time, but I mean, you can, like, there's pro bodybuilders who are, you know, on the pro circuit, you know, top 10 on the Olympia stage in their 40s. You know, Dexter Jackson won the Olympia, I think at 50, 51 years old or something like that. So you don't have to rush the decision, but definitely don't rush into it, if that makes sense. All right, so meal number 5. Now, this is exactly the same as meal number 4 and 1, but there is one very, very special ingredient that makes it amazing and makes it one of my favorites. So yeah, it's 300 grams of rice and veggies, but you'll notice the chicken isn't in here because I'm gonna take this chicken that's still hot on the stove here, which is an important point. You wanna keep it hot because when we add our secret ingredient here, we want that secret ingredient to melt on it, okay? And that special secret ingredient is almond butter, okay? So I get 30 grams of the almond butter. I am putting it on the chicken breast. I know that might sound crazy, but I'm gonna tell you why it's not here. So I'm gonna get my 30 grams on here. So the chicken has to be hot because you want to spread the almond butter evenly all over the chicken. Now, the way that I discovered this, apparently this is like something common in the bodybuilding industry and I was just out of the loop. But a guy I follow, a bodybuilder, posted himself, or he posted his meal, and it was, I'm not putting this in the fridge, it was chicken, rice, and almond butter. And I'm very close-minded, so I was like, what are you doing, man? That's disgusting. And he's like, dude, trust me, a little bit of salt on there, it's sweet and savory. It makes your chicken sweet and savory. You gotta try it. So I was like, all right, I'll try it. So I tried it, and yes, it is amazing. And in fact, like, it made my prep so much better. I looked forward to eating this. I still look forward to eating it. And I actually took it to the next level. So I don't just do the chicken and the almond butter, but I add 0-calorie maple syrup to it. So not too much, and I actually mean not too much this time, because it'll make it too watery. You want it to be kind of like sticky. So I add just a little bit of the maple syrup to it. But that's not it. Just wait, hold on. And also some cinnamon. So again, like, I mean, it's up to you how much you want to put on here, but during prep, I liked a lot. But now I like just a little bit of it. Actually, before you put the cinnamon on it, I forgot. You want to make sure you mix it so the almond butter kind of spreads evenly over, the best you can, over every piece of chicken, as well as the syrup, of course, and they kind of mix together. So mix all that up, get it evenly distributed. Smells amazing. And then you add your cinnamon. So I like to do it just a little bit. Like, you play around with the ratios. You can put as much of the cinnamon and 0 calorie syrup on it as you want, because there's no calories in either of those. But I'll show you what the end product looks like here. And then the salt is an important ingredient as well. If you're training hard in the gym, you should be salting all your meals. You don't have to measure it like I do, because right now, like, we're just measuring it because we don't want me to get bloated too quickly. Because I'm in a place where, gaining weight fast, my blood pressure can go up really fast if I gain a bunch of water weight. But yeah, put salt on it. It makes it taste better, and you should be salting all your meals anyway. Just helps. You want to retain water, right? Because water is what helps get nutrients into your muscles. But so yeah, basically the meal is rice and veggies, and I'm going to put the same sauces on these veggies. I don't need as much salt for the chicken because there's just not as much going on there. So 2 grams of salt, 2 of my 5 grams of the salt on the chicken, and almond butter and syrup and cinnamon. And then I'm going to put my sauces on the rice. I'm going to use the Southwest Smash sauce again. Chipotle aioli. So good. So good you have to lick the cap every time, as long as someone else doesn't use it, because that would be rude, right? Unless they don't mind, then I guess it's fine. And then our truffle parmesan and black garlic seasoning. So yeah, eating like this, I wish I figured this out during last off season, because I ate like a total animal. My food was so boring and bland. Oh yeah, and then I almost forgot, I gotta put another 3 grams of salt on the rice and veggies. So yeah, that's meal 5. Absolutely amazing. I'm gonna enjoy the hell out of this. So after this, I still have, I think, 18 minutes of walking to do. Gonna finish that, and then I have to cook up shrimp for my last meal, as well as veggies, which I won't need tonight, but I'm gonna need them first thing tomorrow. So like I said, I'll show you guys how I cook the veggies. That'll be quick and easy. All right, so getting ready to have my 6th and final meal of the day. Before I do, though, I'm gonna cook up my shrimp, which I won't show you how to do because I did on episode 1. So if you wanna see how I cook my shrimp and make it pretty tasty, I think, you can go back and check that out there. The veggies are super easy. I'll show you how I do it anyway. So I just always get frozen veggies. I like these mixed ones. I get them at Costco, but you can get them at any grocery store, obviously. So it's just the chunks of green bean, peas, carrots, and corn. Okay, and then all I do is I put them in this massive cauldron, because I eat quite a bit. So, and I put about like 2/3 of this bag. More like half the bag. It really changes every time, but I put a lot in the pot, not the whole bag. And then all you do is you put enough water in it so it's covering the veggies, basically. So yeah, then I'm just gonna stick it on the stove uncovered on high until it's boiling. And then, yeah, then once it's boiling, you turn the heat off, you leave it on the burner, and you just set a timer for 3 minutes and just put a lid on it. So let it sit with the lid on, stove off, but it's still hot for 3 minutes just to kind of let them soak in the warm water. Then I'll show you the rest. But while I wait for this to boil, I'm gonna cook up my shrimp. All right, so veggies for lazy guys who hate cooking, part 2. So these came to a boil. I put the lid on with the heat off for 3 minutes. I actually forgot to set the timer, but I think it's been about 3 minutes. Get this out of here. Actually, I'll do this. So yeah, then you just take the pot. Obviously, I got a strainer in the sink. Oh, fogging up. Ouch. Don't burn yourself like I just did. Fog up your blue light blocking glasses. And then yeah, so now I'm just gonna put these in containers. And then, actually no, I have some for my next meal that I'm gonna fry in the pan. So like, these actually taste fine if you were just to warm them up in the microwave. So if you're not like me and you don't have the luxury of having access to a stove, so you can pan reheat your food, it tastes fine in a microwave too. But yeah, so now I'm just gonna get these in the container. My shrimp are gonna be done in 20 seconds, so then I'll prep up my 6th and final meal of the day, show you guys that. So yeah, like I've mentioned, I don't have like set meal prep days. Although I would if I worked like a Monday to Friday job, and I have in the past when I was an electrician for 5 years and I worked construction and whatnot. But this is like the most I've prepped all at once in a while. So sometimes there's overlap. So this will last me probably maybe 2.5, 3 days. And then I'm eating more rice now, so I don't know, but I got four containers of this rice. So I just realized you probably couldn't see. So I got 2 containers of mixed veggies, and then 4 of these big containers of rice. And I have another high day tomorrow, so I'm gonna need these for sure. So now tomorrow I won't have to worry about cooking rice. I don't think I'll have to worry about cooking chicken. That's the thing about doing it like I do it right now. Yeah, I probably won't have to cook chicken. I probably won't have to worry about shrimp either. So tomorrow might be one of the first days that I don't have to cook a bunch of food. So the way I do it is kind of like, I'm not as prepared, but I can get away with it because I'm at home all day basically, right? So people who are like picky with how they cook food and stuff have always told me like, hey, you should always let your food cool before you put it in the fridge and it tastes better. And honestly, I've tried that, but I find it makes no difference. So I just want to get it out of the way. As soon as it's cooked, I put it in the containers and just toss it in the fucking fridge. All right, so meal 3 is shaping up here. So it's a little boring. We have 190 grams of shrimp, and then there's the 100 grams of veggies under there. And then my coach put almond butter in this meal, 40 grams. So biggest serving of fat for the day, because that's the best time to like slow your digestion down the most. So best time to get the majority of your fats in. So if you think about like what I ate today, all of the food surrounding my training was the highest carb, no fat. My post-workout meal had no veggies. So that's just to optimize, I hate using that word, but that's just to make sure you're digesting the carbs quickly, replenishing your glycogen stores. You have glucose ready for use for your training. And then all the fats are backloaded because fat timing doesn't really matter. So you might as well have that at a time where it's not going to affect where you want to be digesting the carbs the best, right, around your workout. So since I'm not going to put almond butter on shrimp and vegetables, I literally it's kind of nice. I just eat it right out of a bowl, kind of like a nice little dessert. So 40 grams of that. And then I do put some cinnamon on this, and then of course, as per usual, some of my salt. I don't want too much cinnamon. And then we're going to use our regular sauces that we've been using all day for the shrimp and the veggies. Yeah, anyway, that wraps up episode 2. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your guys' support. So make sure to like, comment, leave a comment if you have anything you want to see, questions you have, leave those in the comments. Of course, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode.